is on.
Greetings and welcome to Stunthanger Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I will be your host this evening. And here at Stunthanger Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes. We talk about sport flying, competition flying. Hopefully we have some show and tells this evening. And also, what have you done in your shop or at the flying field lately? Now, to join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthanger Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you're not a member, please register at stunthanger.com. You must place a space between your real first and last name. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky will not approve you. If you are inclined to not come in and just want to watch us on YouTube, please enter your questions or comments in the chat box, and I will do my best to make your comments part of the show. And I apologize, I haven't been doing as good of a job lately, but I hope that to gain your confidence again. Now, if you find Stunthanger Video Hangouts or the many building videos that Sparky does on this platform informative and enjoyable, please like, share, and subscribe. This helps the channel grow. And also, please consider joining our YouTube channel membership starting at $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. Now, your support helps offset some of the expenses of running Stunthanger. And with your membership, you get special badges, there's member-only videos, and once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. And this is your chance to ask Sparky questions about building or flying or things of that nature. And it's a great opportunity because Sparky has, I believe, like over 50 years experience. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And I've taken advantage of that and asked Sparky questions myself. Now, in our conversations here, please keep it family room friendly. And in other words, please don't use words you wouldn't use around your children or grandchildren. Now, without further ado, I'm going to post the link that you can find at stunthanger.com SMF, and you'll see the link I'm going to post right now. Excuse me. So let me just tell you what's been going on with me. This past weekend, I didn't get a chance to fly, but I got a chance to work in my shop. I was cleaning up, putting some things away. Some things I don't know where to place them, actually. It's such a mess. But I did get a chance to work on a few of my airplanes. I actually worked on my plane I've been building for too long of a time. It's a modified Strega that's going to be running on a K-77 with a tuned pipe. And I did some work on that plane, which I haven't touched that plane in over a month. And so I feel pretty good about that. I also have a new airplane that I've been flying, and it's called a Chipmunk. It's a scratch-built Chipmunk. I didn't build it, by the way, but it's extraordinarily light, and it has a OS Max S35 on it, and it looks like it's flying pretty good. The tank, the fuel tank that's in it right now is a little bit small. As a matter of fact, this is the tank, and I got this out of a, you can see how it's kind of crimped down here in the corner. So this tank is, I measured the volume, and it only has about 3 ounces of fuel. Matter of fact, let me bring in the pop chat here. Pop out chat. Just bear with me here. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to I'm going to do a better job of including your guys' comments into the show, so that way I can see what's going on. So anyways, this tank holds about 3 ounces of fuel, and with my plane on 58 feet of lines, eyelet to eyelet, I'm only getting about 4 minutes and 28 seconds. So that's not nearly enough to complete the stunt pattern. So it's only about an inch and 5/8 width and an inch tall, and I forgot the length, but the volume is not big enough. So I'm going to have to make a tank and it would be nice if I had the room and space to actually do a show and tell on making tanks. I was actually shown how to make tanks by Bill Biles, which was gracious enough to help me. Hey Jeff, you're the first one in.
Charles, what's going on?
Man, what's going on is I was just talking about my chipmunks, and remember you and I was talking earlier about the this fuel tank. Let me
Oh yeah, the one that got stepped on.
yeah, the one that got stepped on, and I
Yeah.
filled it up, and it only holds about 3 ounces of fuel.
Yeah, I had one like that in my first Nobler. And hold on, let me figure out how to shut my phone off.
Okay.
There we go.
He's on.
Hey Bill,
Hi.
Hi, Bill.
good to see you.
Yeah. I don't know. A week ago, I just couldn't seem to get the video and the audio going.
Yeah, I saw your initials pop up, but that was about all she wrote.
Peter.
Hey Peter. So I was just talking. Go
How'd
ahead.
you do with the Buster, Bill?
The Buster?
That's one of my favorite planes. I love that airplane.
Oh. Yeah, it flew good this summer. I got it going. And then I was struggling with that electric plane, that Brodek.
Oh yeah.
And, it was just a matter of getting the CG right, and then it flew wonderful.
Cool. I was gonna tell you my the Buster I had when I was a kid had a Redhead McCoy 19 on it.
Uh-huh.
I flew it on 52s. It was the first engine my dad actually taught me how to flip start.
So I started on the Junior Ringmaster, and
Okay.
I realized they didn't send a bell crank with it, and
Oh, wow.
you don't want to get too far on the wing construction without the bell crank in there. So I got that.
What do you got in mind for it? Are you going to put a 3-inch in it or a 2-inch?
I don't know. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, the stock kit came with the stock kit, right? The old Sterling job recommended a 2-inch Fox aluminum bell crank. So 2-inch is what the Sterling wanted everybody to use, but it depends on what handle you like. The bigger your handle spacing, the bigger your bell crank should be.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're like trying to pedal a bicycle in high gear. You move your hand a little bit, and your bell crank moves a ton.
Yeah.
So if you're using a regular, especially if you're using an easy just, then you really want to go with at least a 3-inch bell crank.
Yeah, I got it for the handle. It's the Brodek, the red one.
Okay, I use the one with the looped cable in it.
This doesn't have the cable. It's the
It's a hard point.
yeah.
Yeah, I never had good luck with those. I could never cut my lines even enough,
Oh,
and I end up flying like this or like this.
You know how you just need to get different connectors. I make my own connectors. I bought the tool from Jim Lee, and you buy some wire. I forgot what thickness it is, and you make your own clips. And I have an assortment of different lengths, and that's how I adjust my hard point handle.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a pain in the butt at first, but the precision you get with the variable lengths of clips is really amazing, because sometimes when I'm using the wire handle, and you've probably seen this before, someone's trying to find their neutral, and you tell them, okay, give it a little up, or shorten the down line or something, right? And they go too far, and it's just back and forth, which because these connectors are all different lengths and they're fixed, I can see which one's longer and shorter. I can really fine tune my neutral. You can still fine tune it with the wire cable, but it's it's not as easy to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's this electric clown.
Yeah.
And the battery was supposed to go through the leading edge, and and it sticks out probably a half an inch. And that's the way I tried flying it. And that put the CG, slightly ahead of where they showed in the instruction booklet.
Right.
And it just seemed like it wouldn't even loop. I never tried it, but it just really doggy-like.
Right.
And I just kept moving the battery back. It's taped to the side, and now you could see the back of it. It's almost, it's like past where the flaps are.
Yeah.
But that's what it took. I mean, now it's like, it'll maneuver real easily.
Right.
And so I think I might as well, and somebody had said that, fill this up here, this leading edge, it just seems like a weak point, and then you got this big hole in the wing that could fill that in.
Yeah.
It's almost scary looking.
It is. You might move that battery forward just a little bit and then just add some tail weight because you want to be able to move your flaps, right?
Yeah, well, it's above where the flaps move, so it isn't in the way, but this battery's so long, they make this real long, flat battery so it'll fit in the wing.
Right.
I didn't like the idea of the battery in the wing anyhow, because it just seems like if you crash hard, that it's a lot of weight that's going to go ripping through the sheeting.
Yeah, most likely the battery would fall forward and wouldn't do any damage. I don't know. I don't have any electric, so I'm not speaking from experience. But the one thing that concerns me, and it might not be an issue, is your vertical CG now is probably off because you have that weight, that big heavy weight, up above the wing. Are you familiar with your vertical CG?
No.
Okay. The vertical CG is if you was to go through the center of the wing all the way through the length of the fuselage. So you divide the plane into two halves. You have your top half and your bottom half. And when you have your the vertical CG where the top is heavier than the bottom, what happens is when it's flying in a circle, centrifugal force makes the outboard wing tip fall down. And then also if you have heavy wheels, for example, if it's reversed, then your outboard wing tip will be up. And it's the vertical CG is something I pay a particular attention to. You want the wing to fly totally level, and so if I can get it dynamically to be correct without having to add trim tabs, that's what I prefer to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to verify it is to hang your lead out like in your garage with no drafts, no wind or anything. Hang it from the ceiling and connect it to the lead outs, and then hang a plumb bob from your ceiling straight down and have it right in front of the leading edge of your wing, and then look at that plumb bob and look at your leading edge, and you want them both to be perpendicular. So let's say, for example, your wheels are too heavy, it's going to kick the bottom of the wing out, depending upon how it's what orientation you have. But you can see you want to get that leading edge plumbed straight down.
Okay.
Did I confuse you, or I didn't mean
Basically, what he's saying is, if you put a lot of weight up above the lead out line, the center line of the lead outs, if you put a lot of weight up above it, the airplane, say you're flying off of this side, right? The airplane's going to fly like this. And if you have a lot of weight down below that, like heavy wheels, your airplane's going to fly like this.
Okay, yeah.
It's going to, that's your vertical center line.
And that's probably why they have the battery going through the wing, Bill, by design.
Yeah.
It's right through the center of the plane, and hopefully it keeps it so that it's straight. Now, as a matter of fact, I mean, personally, I have a Chipmunk that was designed for inverted engine, and this scratch-built Chipmunk I have has a vertical engine. So you have this heavy crankcase above the where the vertical CG is, and it's causing my plane to fly a little bit peculiar. Where I do have the outboard wingtip, when I'm flying level, it's tipping down, and then when I'm inverted, it's a little bit up. So I'm going to experiment with some clay on the landing gear and see how much clay I need to add to it to get it to fly level, and then weigh that clay and then replace it with lead and glue it into the landing gear. And that's just part of trim. I mean, that's when I was a kid, I didn't have any concept of horizontal CG or vertical CG, except for what the plan showed, a little circle with the black, in that. I would take my fingers at the wingtips and it just kind of balanced it, but that was the extent of it. And when you guys are talking about the Buster, I remember I had a Buster as a kid, and of all my planes, I didn't like the Buster because it was so sensitive. But it probably was sensitive because it was tail heavy, and I didn't know any better. I was just a kid, and I had no one helping me. That
was probably the biggest issue with it, because that Buster is like a shoestring or a ringmaster. I mean, they're all pretty much the same thing. They're all roughly a 42-inch plane with an elevator and a more engine than they really need. But
so I got one other thing to show.
All right. Hey, hi, Ed, by the way.
I got my twister kit in. So.
All right. Fantastic.
All right. Is that from SIG really or is that from SIG or Brodak?
SIG.
Oh, it's just, what, $66 or something like that?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good flying plane. I always like the Banshee better. I'm not sure why, I just did.
I was looking at, other profile kits for like a 35, and there's a lot of them are like $120, so it seemed like this was a good deal. I don't know how the wood is, but
it's average. It's average. What are you going to put on it?
Well, I had thought I'd use that Max 35 on it, but if that isn't enough, I would get a 40.
That Max 35 would be more than enough for that twister. You can pull it through anything you want it to do.
Okay. Well, I've had people say that, and then other people are like, they put a 46 on theirs or a 40 or.
Well.
Some guys have put a 90 on it.
Lynn probably would, but he'd build his out of a 2x4.
Yeah.
And a good Vico 19 would probably haul it just fine. I flew a twister, a venturized twister on a KMB 20.
That'd probably work. I think a FP or a LA 25 would be enough.
Oh yeah.
I think my dad flew his twister with a Redhead McCoy.
Yeah. It'll handle it.
I flew my twister with 40 FP, and then I took that out and put an LA 46. But I had built my front end up more like the. Have you heard of the venturized twister, Bill?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the venturized twister has a tripler, so it's a little bit more built up to stiffen to kind of minimize the vibration. And I built heavy anyway. They did a lot to the plane, so I needed a little bit more power because the plane got heavy. But all those engines we mentioned were all work. The engine you can use to balance the plane. So, if you need a heavier motor, then you go with a bigger motor. But if you can get away with that Max 35, that's the S35 or FP35. Yeah. I actually have a Max S35 in my Chipmunk. I really like that motor.
I'll give you 3 guesses what I flew my Banshee or twister with.
A Fox 35.
What else is there?
What else is there? I know. Hey, I like Foxes too. The only reason why I'm kind of have a preference to the Max S35 is I like it has a nice muffler, That hooks up to it pretty nice.
Yeah. Hey, I'm finally dragging myself out of the dark ages.
Uh-oh.
I went to what is that shit online? Oh, Amazon,
Right?
and I found one of those glow plug clip-on igniters that's got the battery in it,
Oh, yeah.
like that.
Very good. Yeah.
So I can throw away my alligator clips now.
Oh, very
You're still
good.
using alligator clips, Jeff?
I've been using alligator clips since 1974.
It was so nice because you just grab the wire and yank it off when you're getting ready to.
Well, yeah.
Nice and bright. I see that, Eddie.
There you go.
You know, that
Eddie,
twister I had the KMB on actually wound up settling on the KMB 28, and it was 48 or 49 ounces. It was no lightweight,
No.
and it handled that just fine.
You should have flown my Banshee.
Oh, yeah?
My Banshee flew like a wet noodle with a Fox 35 on it. I mean, you could see the wings twisting.
That's not good.
Oh, it was great. It stayed level. It flew straight. I never had a problem with it, but you could see it twist when you yanked on it hard.
Really? Why, that would have bothered me.
I just flew through it. I figured,
Yeah.
well, if it hits the ground, it was never meant to last anyway.
Yeah. Hey, Eddie, I think your microphone is muted.
Yeah, your mic's muted, Ed.
There we go. No wonder y'all couldn't hear me.
That's
Yeah.
why. Now we hear you.
John, I'm trying to catch up to you, but I got a long ways to go.
Well, give yourself a year. You'll get there.
My wife said, you got to shave. I said, nope, it's no shave November. She said, well, wife said shave, so I'm gonna wait till the end of November and then it's coming off. I forgot how itchy they were when they first started coming out.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
what I was thinking.
But that'll end in about 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Seriously, they're itchy till about a month
Yeah.
and a half.
Yeah. I used to come back from leave when I'd leave Hawaii. You know, I'd take 30 days and I'd come back looking like this and they'd get all pissed off. You know,
Well,
you can't do that. I said, well, I did.
some sailors were allowed to have them when I was in.
Hell, my dad could have them as long as it was in peacetime.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go out to sea for 6 months, and Daddy'd come back with a beard, and they'd be manning the rails, and Mom be sitting there looking straight at him and didn't know who he was.
Yeah. Was he on a sub?
No, he was on his last ship was the USS Constant, which was a minesweeper out of Long Beach. And then he was on the, his first ship was the Guadalcanal.
Oh.
The amphibious
Yeah.
helicopter carriers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a lieutenant commander.
Holy smokes.
Yep. He was in 8 years. His last he was active reserve, and his last duty station was he was the CO of the reserve base in Hartford, Connecticut.
Huh.
And he came in, he'd been in 8 years, and he came in one day, checked his mail, and they got open up a letter, and it said, "Dear Mr. Suter, as of such and such date, you are relieved of duty." He got fired through the mail.
That's what you get for
No,
doing
it was right after Vietnam, and they doing the cutback, and he was active reserve, and they sent him home.
I had a good friend I went to high school with. I actually recruited him into the Navy Reserve, which is what I was started out in. And we used to get a day off of duty, or having to show up for every recruit we brought in. So I recruited him, and he was a smart kid. He went to college and he got involved in the the Rock Pro, the Reserve Officer Candidate Program.
Yeah.
And when he graduated from college, this is like 1964, he had a degree in computer, just computers, I guess, computer programming, whatever. Anyway, he got his commission and he headed out. His first duty station was Hawaii. He made it to full captain.
Right.
Full captain. He was also in, like your dad, in commandant of a reserve unit in not Delaware, but somewhere out in that area.
Hey, you guys, I want to interrupt.
Got to get back to model airplanes.
Absolutely appreciate you guys' service in the military. My dad was in the Navy. My son's in the Air Force. But we're going to talk about model airplanes.
I knew you.
Especially when people tune in. We just started and we're talking about military. I mean, it's like we just started.
We flew airplanes in the Navy.
Yeah.
I understand. I've competed for the Navy. And anyway, so enough about that. But I do appreciate you guys' service. I don't want you to misunderstand that. I appreciate all my servicemen and my. It's important. I appreciate it. But anyways, since you guys don't want to talk about model planes, I'll talk about model airplanes. I've been. I'm gonna build a new tank. This is what I started off talking about. I took this out of a Nobler ARF, which you're probably familiar with, you guys. Matter of fact, I have one right here. It wasn't this one, but it's my Nobler. This is one of my Nobler ARFs. I've had about 4 of them, and the first version had this as a fuel tank, and it only holds this one only holds 3 ounces of fuel. So I'm getting 4 minutes and 28 seconds engine run time, which is not enough. And so I'm going to make my own tank. And I wish I could maybe do a show and tell how to make a tank. I was fortunately Bill Biles, who was taught by Ed Southwick, taught me how to make these tanks. And it's pretty neat to be able to make your own custom tank. That way, it's you just fill it up. You don't have to short tank it. You just fill it up, and you got the right amount of fuel. And so that's what I'm going to do.
You remember what the numbers are, Charles?
Which numbers?
Cubic inches per ounce.
I think it's 0.55 something. I've written down somewhere.
1 and 7/8 cubic inches is 1 ounce of fuel.
Okay. All right. Yes.
A standard 1 by 2 inch wedge tank.
Right.
Every inch is an ounce.
So about a 4-inch one gives you 4 ounces.
Yeah.
Right. I calculated for what I need to get 7 minutes. I'm going to build this tank, which is only an inch and 5/8 wide, not 2 inches, and an inch tall. I need to make the length 5 3/8 long, and that'll give me 4.8 ounces of fuel, which will be.
How much room do you have between the doublers?
The inside. The inside ID, it's about an inch and inch and 11/16. Not a whole lot.
Because you don't have much room, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
Don't you, that when you come up to a higher altitude, you'll have too much fuel.
Yeah, we're really fortunate out here in Escondido. I will never need more fuel, no matter where I go.
Yeah, you'd have to go to Atlantis to be below where you're at.
Yeah, so when I go anywhere else, I'm taking fuel out.
Yeah, well, you go to the VSC. That's about 2,000, 3,000 feet. You come up here where I'm at, you'll take out a lot more. You go to Denver. The guys in Denver like to see the lowlanders come up to their contest because they know they're going to overrun.
Yeah. And you had to figure out the math too, because when I went to VSC, not VSC, but I went to VSC, but when I went to the same place for the Southwestern Regionals, I was flying my Red Strega, and I was trying to calculate how much fuel to take out. Ended up having to take out a half an ounce to be on the safe side where I didn't have overrun.
Oh yeah, it's
How much
embarrassing.
you penalty?
It's
What's the
embarrassing
penalty
to have
for
an
overrun?
18-minute flight. There you go, Suter. I said it. Go ahead.
What's the penalty for overrun?
Oh, 25
Added
points. 25 points.
Ooh.
That, I
So
mean,
it's
it's
just
severe.
that is just a set amount, no
And,
matter if you go over 30 seconds or a minute and a half.
your landing points. You lose those too.
Okay.
So it's 45
plus
altogether.
landing. Cool.
So I watched that Brodeck factory tour video last night.
Okay.
Okay, so there's just that one gentleman that makes those tanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I shot that video as a matter of fact. And that guy actually gave me a couple of things there. But yeah, it's pretty neat how he, and matter of fact, he said that if you make a drawing and you send it into him and you guys talk about it, he'll make whatever tank you want, whatever you need.
So how long does it take him to make a tank?
He made a tank there in front of us, and didn't I show it on the video? I haven't seen it in just a long time, but it doesn't take him long. As far as a factory tank, it doesn't take him long at all. I mean, no joke, no more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
Does he have a press? Does he have a press to press the sides in or the ends, or does he? Just forms everything. Yeah, that's about the only way you can do it. Because I mean, with the benders, you can only get two sides bent, and then the other sides you gotta form them somehow. But
Now, the way I work, it takes me about 4 days to build a tank.
Takes me about 20 minutes. But I start with an RC tank, plastic tank. So
Okay.
yeah.
I've never had any good luck with a clunk tank.
I've been running clunk tanks now since Alan Brickhouse told me about it back in 1984.
I tried one on my first Ringmaster, and I tried one again on my first Banshee. I tried one in my first Super Chipmunk, and I switched them all out for Steelies.
I picked this one up for $3 at swap meet.
Oh, very good. That's a
It's
good
a
price.
6 ounce. It's a 6 ounce. I'm gonna shove it in that JB Special.
Very good.
What engine you gonna put in there?
I'm gonna try to get that Super Tiger 51 in there.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Jeff, have you seen my diagram on how to make a Uniflow stunt tank out of an RC plastic tank?
Yeah, with the raise and lower.
Yeah.
The option to raise and lower
It works.
Yeah, I can vouch for it. It does work. I did that.
I'm sure it works. I've seen a lot of guys do it.
Yeah, I've got the drawing. It's on my plan.
I got a copy of it too. But I'm so sold on the old tin tanks that that's what I learned how to build. That's just what I build.
Well, the tin tanks worked. I used them when I started out. I used them for years, but I like the idea of a clunk tank, and I like the idea of having the Uniflow, and I like the idea of being able to adjust the tank height with the Uniflow.
That is nice.
Yeah, I mean, once it's in place, it's in place. Look at there.
That's a nice motor.
G51.
Yeah. What's his name? Golly.
Phil.
Jimmy.
I heard Phil talking to you about that.
Phil was talking about it. I guess he was talking about drilling through the casing right here. Because see, it's got the pinch bolt right here.
What?
That pinch bolt is where the stock sprinkler needle valve goes.
Yeah, that's where the sprinkler goes, but he was saying drill through and use the regular spray bar.
That gets your fuel inlet closer to a 1/2 inch where a wedge tank will work.
You know, Ed,
But
the stock Super Tiger 51 that's for control line, there's a hole through the venturi, not the crankcase.
Yeah. Okay.
So that they don't use that pinch bolt there on the crankcase. They actually put a needle valve through the venturi. That's how it's done.
And
Okay.
if you're gonna use that plastic RC tank, don't drill through your case. Drill through your venturi.
Okay. You just leave the pinch bolt in there and seal
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that holds your venturi in place.
Yeah.
You want
Was that what he was talking about, sealing with the clay?
No, you don't have to worry about sealing that because there shouldn't be any. Well, wait, there might. I can't see.
Shouldn't leak.
I can't see where that would leak. If it leaks, yes, seal it with clay.
Because I know with carburetors, they got the O-ring seal.
Yeah, you put an O-ring on the venturi also.
Okay.
Yeah, you put that on the venturi. All right.
Okay.
Hey, Eddie, let me go grab my Super Tiger 51. You can see what I'm talking about. I'll be right back.
All right. Is it and then
And you can either get an aluminum or a Delrin
Venturi.
venturi for that. I get the Delrins because they're cheaper, and if you make a mistake, you just throw them away.
Okay, here's one I got. Here's the V Super Tiger 56. It's the same thing, right? Got the pinch bolt holding the venturi in.
Yep.
Okay.
Measure the height of the fuel intake from the mount lug. How high is the needle valve going to be off of the engine crutch?
Okay.
But the thing is, see, that isn't quite as important to him because he's not going to be using a 1-inch high metal tank. He's going to be using an RC plastic tank.
Yeah, that's true. And then because the center is going to be lower anyway.
Right, yeah. and he's going to have a clunk on there, and he's going to be able to adjust the apparent height of the tank by adjusting.
Yeah, I've got that Tudor 2 has a plastic clunk tank on it, but it's profile and it's on the side. So, but I ain't had any problems out of it. Oh,
right. I saw that.
Charles, I found this one. This is my 56.
Yeah, it's just like that. The 51 is done just exactly like. I heard you. So I turned around and came back. But yeah, that's exactly what my 51 looks like. But mine's the G, obviously. But yeah, the material is like that.
Yeah.
Now, what's the height of that needle valve to the to where the engine would mount?
Yeah.
What's the height if you was to measure from the needle valve?
That's at least 3/4.
Yeah.
Talking about from
the bottom of the mounts.
From the bottom of the mounts to the
The center, yeah.
Anyways, usually it's a 1/2 inch, usually on most engines, but on that one it looks like it's higher, so that's going to affect your
This
tank.
one is from the bottom of the mounts to the center of the hole is 1.04 inches.
Wow.
Yeah.
1.0.
You might have to raise your tank if you had an engine in there that had a smaller distance.
He's not going to be running a metal tank. He's going to be running an RC tank.
Oh, okay. And never
Well,
mind.
this right here, I don't know what I'm going to put this one on. I just bought this engine a while back, but I mean it's got good strong compression to it. But yeah, the G51 is what I was going to put in the JB Special, but it'll have the same setup as that one.
Right. You could probably take the venturi out of the other one and put in that same engine if you don't have an extra one. Just use that same one.
Could be. I could. Yeah. Let me see if it'll fit.
See, this is where the RC tank really helps a lot when you're going with the engines that have the needle valve higher than a 1/2 inch. They still work.
So you guys, let me interrupt real quick.
Go ahead.
Gary Sinclair, he says hi everybody, and so does Jerry Davis and Greg Greg says hi, and Greg also says that Jim Lee makes venturi and needle valves for the Super Tiger with no drilling.
Well, I looked on there. I looked on his website, and all I seen was the venturi. It didn't, and I tried leaving him a message or an email and asking him if the needle valve comes with it, but I couldn't. I didn't get a response.
Nah, you have to order it separate. Hey, why isn't Gary on tonight?
Gary is taking care of his wife. His wife is not feeling very well.
Oh, okay.
There's that pretty face.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw the thread, huh, John? Yeah, you had me cracking up. I was busting the gut.
I was going to make some comment about, so who you going to bring with you?
See, I don't recall who made this. I don't recall who made this venturi from my G51, but that's the way my old G51 was set up.
Where's the needle valve? Oh, there it is. I see. That's got a
It goes in place of the pinch bolt.
Yeah, that's got a sprinkler.
I can't recall for the life of me who I got the venturi from.
That's a sprinkler setup. I bet you Jim Lee got it. You got it from him.
Yeah. I don't know what the difference is between the two. I mean, as far as the sprinkler run versus the regular true venturi. On my Super Tiger 51, the G, it's a through venturi, not the sprinkler, and I don't know what the downside or upside would be.
It seemed to work fine. I just don't have any. I don't have anything to compare it to. It's been quite a few years.
The sprinkler.
I don't even know if I can find some. I don't even know if I can find another one like that.
The way it was
You know what I
explained
do?
to me, the way it was explained to me is that the sprinkler system is supposed to be an unobstructed airflow through the venturi.
Right.
And I don't know how much difference it makes, how much better it is. I've never tried it myself.
Actually, the Thunder Tiger 36, or which would be even the this is the 36 Pro, which of course would be the Aero Tiger, also is set up, and that's stock in that fashion.
Right. What I like to do with when I convert an RC to control line is I'll pull the carburetor apart and I'll take the little needle valve assembly out of there, and I'll drill just one side into the venturi, drill and tap it, put it in there and cut it to where I've got what's called a post, and that sits out in the center of the airflow. So it's kind of a compromise between the two. And so you have to make your diameter, inside diameter, a little smaller to get the proper ratio of clean air. But the nice thing it is your feed line from your tank comes straight, doesn't have to make any crazy turns, comes straight into it, and the needle valve itself winds up on the other side of the engine away from the exhaust, which is kind of nice too.
That would be nice.
And it's so simple because when you buy one, wherever you get it, there you go. See, and you exactly, that's it right there. You have to shorten it there above the threads to make sure that it sets into the center of your needle valve. But you see, it comes straight in, and your needle valve comes off the same side. So it's great. If you need to run a filter, you got a straight run. You're not trying to fit it in there where it's turning. Of course, I like to put my filter inside the tank.
Very nice. I've never thought to mount that to the crankcase. So it just threads in. You just thread it in, or you have to retap it. How'd you do it?
Well, no, you don't retap it. You actually put that into raise it a little bit. You put that into the you drill one side of the venturi and tap it. The other, you don't have to drill it all the way through. put your finger on the threads there, Peter. Now see above his finger, see where the threads end?
Yeah.
Okay, you'll have to measure because you don't want that all the way across. You want that to end right at the center of the venturi, the inside of the venturi.
Okay.
Okay, and he was showing you that you got a pinch bolt there that you could adjust it if you want. So it's still, even adjusting it in my experience, it was too long. I had to cut it off.
So that nut, would you put that nut on the inside of venturi so you can?
No.
No. Goes on the outside. It's a lock nut.
Okay.
That is what I use on a Evolution 36. If you can get that set up off a FP20,
Yeah.
and it'll screw right into the venturi on an Evolution 36. And I got the idea from the Fox. This
So you
was
see how, hold that so we can look down the venturi. See how far across you're going? You're almost over to the other wall. If you cut that off right in the center, you'd be better off.
Yeah, this one holds on by a screw on that side.
Oh, okay.
So it's done a little different, but that's where I got the idea. And I looked at that and I'm like, it looks about the same size as an Evolution, because they just had a post that you hooked the line to and it went back to a remote needle.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
I don't know if anybody can see.
Yep.
There you go. There's the post. Exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is an OS.
That's on the carburetor. Yeah.
Yeah, pumper. But that is just a massive carburetor on that. Just a real little teeny fine post coming through this. But yeah, I could show you the. On a Evo 36, but I'm trying to think what airplane is on.
Let me catch up on the chat box while you're thinking about that, Steve. So Greg Biswick, he says that Jim Lee does have the needle valves. I guess you have to email him, I guess, but it's not listed on his website. Thanks, Greg. And then Greg also says that he has two Evolution 36, one with the Jim Lee sprinkler, and it seems to work better than the normal drilled venturi. So I guess you got to try and see what you prefer. Whether you like the sprinkler or the true venturi.
Yeah, now on my road jet, I set it like Brett Buck does. And it's like a modified sprinkler system to where it has a little spigot or whatever. You take one of the eyelets, the smallest one they make in SIG, you drill a hole and you slide it in there and you can adjust it sticking out just a little bit. And then with a sprinkler, and that'll it actually draws really good that way.
They had an article in Stunt News about how to make that setup.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you which one it was in. It had to be about 10, 15 years ago, though.
Yeah, I believe it's someplace on Stunt Hangar too. If you look at that, but yeah, all I did was drill the hole big enough so that would go through there, and then I got a drill the size of the head of that and very carefully drilled that so that that will slip right down in there and just match the groove so it's out of the way of the needle valve. But it works really slick. Because a true sprinkler has, I have a old Super Tiger 35 that has a sprinkler system, and it has holes all the way around the venturi.
Yeah, you just 4 of them.
Yep.
And if you look down the venturi when it's running, if it's working right, you'll see streams of fuel coming out of each one of them. They meet in the center and they just kind of impact there, and it really atomizes the fuel.
Hold on one second, let me, if I can share just 1 second so people can get an idea what we're talking about. That's it right there with the you can see
Right.
it with the holes, and there'll be another I guess another pair of holes around the other side.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise, I guess, with a true sprinkler system, if you don't have that little spigot sticking out, but when you do maneuvers, it'll press the fuel up against the side of the venturi when it comes in, just the force of it, and it doesn't atomize as well or something than it does when it's just running the other way. So that's why they have them all 4. So different forces, you still get your fuel.
Well, now I've run a spigot, for years now, and I prefer that over a straight across venturi. I've also had sprinklers. I didn't find that much difference in my cases between running a sprinkler and a spigot. But I did find in either the sprinkler or the spigot, I felt it was better. I had better running out of than I did off with the straight across needle valve assembly.
Yeah, I mean, these needle valve assemblies are coming like it's yet. You have some of them now. We have one hole that goes, the traditional spray bar. You have some now. We have one hole, and then some had 2 holes, one on either side. And did you point them straight down into the throat, or did you point them 90 degrees to the throat of the venturi? I mean,
well, it's like the Fox one has 2 holes, but if you really look at it carefully, you'll find that they're not at 180 degrees. They're slightly angled.
Yeah.
Very slightly. And you got to look at that, because when you put it in there, you want to just barely be able to see the edge of those holes as you look down into the venturi. In other words, you want it really lined up, and that's where it works the best.
Yeah. Now this one here is like from the year 1. This is like ancient, and I don't recall what engine this came out of, but this has only got 1 hole right there.
Yeah, that reminds me of my Fox 25 4-bolt head.
And,
That looks like one of those aftermarket ones. That looks like one of those aftermarket ones you could buy on a card at Atwood, I think.
Yeah.
Either that or it came out of McCoy.
No, it's not a McCoy.
No. It's from the year 1. I have absolutely no idea what I'd use it for, but it's there.
Does it have a spring on the shaft?
No, it doesn't. Actually, it used to before it broke off.
Well, I know the Fox 15s had a spring on the.
It has a spring there, but since I don't have the end here to here, I believe it was spring loaded and with a little knurl knob at the end. It's been a long time. Hey, you accumulate stuff.
Yeah, you do. So, John, how did the spigot work better? I mean, what impression did you get that you came to the conclusion that it was better than the regular sprinkler system?
Well, no, I didn't think it was better than the sprinkler. I thought it was every bit as good as the sprinkler system.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I thought both of those, the sprinkler and the spigot, worked better than the normal needle valve assembly where it goes all the way across the opening. You have to enlarge the hole. You have to make the holes a little bit smaller for the spigot, and you have to make it smaller yet. If you ever look down the hole on a true sprinkler venturi, you'll find that hole is quite small down.
Oh yeah.
And that's because you don't have the area being taken up by the needle valve assembly. And some needle valves, the problem is some needle valve assemblies are narrower or thinner than others. So it depends on which one, you have to adjust the size of your venturi to keep the proper proportion going. Otherwise, they don't. Guys have problems changing from a smaller one to a larger one, not knowing that.
And John, and that was something I wanted to bring up last week when we were discussing about the venturi for the OS-35S. OS had, for that same motor, had needle spray bars that were 2 different diameters. You had one that was slightly larger, and then they had a smaller diameter spray bar, depending on which year you got the motor, for the same engine. So you had to make sure that your venturi went along with the size. Because like it's the one I have here, this venturi is a .285. It's a .285 venturi, but
Okay.
and a lot of them are not that big. But the thing is this has got a very, as you can see, it's got a very, very fat NVIDIA spray bar or OS Max needle valve assembly in it. So the overall choke area is small. But if I were to drop a newer version or the thinner version of the spray bar that would fit right into this engine, I would probably have to then knock down the size of the venturi that's in there. Either that, or I'd have maybe issues running lean.
Yes,
I wanted to bring that up last week because we were discussing.
I didn't realize they had that many variances. I have 2 OS Max 35s S's now, but they're all RC motors. I got them off of eBay.
you can. One is actually they make one for the LA-15 that has the center actually turned down a little further.
Yep.
And you can use them different size spray bars for tuning the engine on venturi size.
Wow, that's
You need a little bit bigger venturi, a little smaller. You know, I mean, that's on that one speed limit airplane of Samantha's, we wouldn't put the 15 needle valve in it. And you can get a lot more fuel through it, especially if you're, trying to, get the speed up. Some of them, they get a little tired or whatever, and we did it that way. But on the Evo motor, when I use the FP needle valve assembly, it's like the one John uses or the one Peter just showed there, you can thread that in or out of the motor to do the same thing, to knock how much overall.
Yeah, they adjust the choke area.
Yeah, you can use it to adjust the choke area.
very nice. Hey, Mike Lonke, how you doing? All right.
I'm sanding, so I got my mic turned off.
Appreciate it. I just wanted to acknowledge you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, just working on a couple of hand launch gliders that I got. Bill, they're Gruppners. Have you ever built a German Gruppner hand launch glider?
No, not a hand launch.
So they're pretty big. This one, the first one is 24-inch wingspan, The other one's 18. Called a slipper. Called a slipper.
Huh.
The only thing I'm struggling with, everything's in freaking German, man.
Yeah,
German model.
don't do that.
It's all in German. So I'm pretty sure I can figure it out though. It's just an HLG. So
Yeah, I'll tell you, Samantha and I just threw the model away. It was a Graupner, kind of looked like a Cessna, what is it, a 170 or a 160 that had the real sloped rear window before the 172. But it was a rubber powered, and we built that, and that was the best flying rubber powered kit that I ever built. You could adjust it, and it flew really well. And the dog got it, so I just ended up throwing it away.
well, I want to share something with Bill here. If I can get it pulled up, get the picture pulled up. This is something Tryan shared with me, and I just ordered one tonight. Oh, where'd my picture go? Here we go. Bill, are you familiar with the Sky Voyager?
Yeah.
Let me see. Here we go. I'm going to share this, guys, real quick. So that's a foam wing, rubber powered free flight. It's pretty big too, and it has a folding prop, and they're like $24 from Banggood. Tryan shared that with me, and I went ahead and ordered one tonight. There's a whole bunch of YouTube videos of this thing, and this is a really exceptional performer for rubber free flight for, you know, $25 shipped. So we're gonna get one of these. Sam and I are really getting into the free flight stuff right now. We're really enjoying the hand launch gliders and the catapult stuff and the rubber free flight. So we're branching out a little, just little different stuff. And I tell you, man, winding up a rubber powered airplane on a field and giving it a toss and watching it go for a couple of minutes is pretty enjoyable. But of course, Bill, you know that because you're pretty big into that stuff. I really enjoy watching your videos, Bill.
I got a video of one of those flying over in Muncie. I don't know.
So somebody else had one. You don't have one yet?
Yeah, it was mine, and somebody else launched it, and I took a video of it.
Oh, okay. So you got one. So you know what I'm talking about then. So
Yeah.
Is it worth $25? I kind of think it is. The video.
Yeah, the thing was, you know, like at the smaller place I fly, it flew too good, you know. So it was like I need a bigger field because.
Yeah, it flew too good. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's our plan is to, you know, load up and take this stuff when we go to the Nats next year. We like to take a lot of stuff out there. So trying to just build up the supply because at Muncie, you got the room to fly all that stuff.
Yeah.
So Sam had a blast down in El Dorado flying the catapult gliders and the rubber stuff that Mike Makepeace had. We had a really good time doing that. And, you know, it's cheap. It's easy to build. And it keeps Sam occupied when we're at Muncie and we're not actually flying. I can just turn him loose out in the field with a handful of airplanes and not worry about him. He's just out there being a kid tossing toy airplanes around, you know.
Yeah. Hey, isn't that crazy? You know, Bill bitches about an airplane that flies too good. What the hell is that all about?
Well, you don't want to lose them, man. That, you know, you end up losing them if they fly too good, you know.
We bitch about airplanes that don't fly good. No.
And there's another one.
Hey, it flew too good.
So I'm going to keep sanding here, so I'm going to turn my mic off, but
Hey, Mike, before you get off.
Yeah.
Have you seen that laser cut combat kit from Russia that's made out of a lot of plywood?
Well, Yeah, I've seen it, and Gerald got a few of them. If Gerald gets on here, he's the one to ask. Excuse me, because I think him and Max and Otto just built, I don't know, 2 or 3 of those maybe. And they're flying them.
They're $14.50, and he said it took Otto an hour to build one.
I believe it, but I don't want to cover one. I want my combat planes to show up ready to go. I hate covering, man. That's like my nemesis, especially film on combat wings. I really suck at it. So, but yeah, they look like they fly okay. I mean, and they go together quick. It's definitely a cheap alternative for combat wing.
Yeah,
You know, 14.
You know, if some of the guys wanted to fly slow combat or whatever, you know, give it a try for $14.50. If you smuck it in, you haven't lost much.
No, other than your time. But Gerald would be the one to ask, and I think he's flying. I think they're flying diesels on theirs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But we can ask Gerald about him the next time that he's in here, because he's the only one I know that actually bought some and built them. So he'd be the one to ask on a flight report and how. The thing that worries me is it's not a foam leading edge. It's all built up. You know, it's a full rib with a leading edge and then a spar behind it. I don't think they're going to be very survivable in a crash. I think when you crash them, they're probably going to break pretty bad, because the way the Russians are building them with the foam leading edge wrapped in paper, and then it has a shear web too behind that. You know, there's a balsa shear web that runs the length of the foam leading edge. That really makes them super tough. I don't know about that whole exposed, just open leading edge, built up leading edge on a combat plane. I can't imagine that they're very durable, but the price is right. You know, they're cheap enough. They're cheap.
One that comes covered now, what are they, about $50 a piece, if not more?
They're 50, but by the time you add shipping, it's 60. It's $600 for 10 models shipped.
Yeah.
So, and that's the going rate. But occasionally you catch Yarrow or Yavenko. They'll do, you know, like they'll do a sale and the models are $42. So then you're at $520 instead of $600. You know, with shipping. Speaking of combat planes, I'm driving to Chattanooga tomorrow morning to pick up to recover 10 stolen airplanes, 10 stolen combat planes that were, they were shipped. Well, they were lost in the mail and then stolen, and they ended up on an auction site, actually a farm auction site for farm equipment. And somebody saw them. It's 10 brand new F2D models. You know, it's $600 worth of airplanes.
Yeah.
They ended up on a farm auction site with an opening bid of $25. And one guy in the community, he bid on them and he won them for $25. And throughout people talking about it, they figured out who these models belonged to, and they were stolen off his porch. And then they ended up on eBay, and from eBay they went to this auction site. It's a long story, but you got to pick them up in person because they don't do shipping. The guy that lost the airplanes lives in Florida, and since I'm closest to Chattanooga, I'm only an hour and 40 minutes away from Chatty. I'm going to drive to this auction house tomorrow morning after the kids get on the bus and go pick up these 10 airplanes, and then eventually get them back to their rightful owner, to the guy that lost the $600.
So they catch the guy who stole them?
No, they don't know how they ended up at the auction house. They have no idea. They disappeared in transit once they were in the United States. They never showed up. The guy paid for the airplanes. They never showed up at his house. They disappeared somewhere through the U.S. Postal Service, and then they ended up on this auction site. And a guy it's been known, that Raddick had lost 10 airplanes that never showed up, never made it to his house. And then Dave saw them on this auction site and contacted Raddick and was like, "Hey, are these your airplanes?" He's like, "Yep, they're my airplanes." So he bid on them, but they need somebody to come get them because they want like $200 to ship the airplanes. And, it'll cost me, $40 to a tank of gas to drive there and get them in just 4 hours at a time. So
I go after the auction site. They know who put them on there and who is going to get the money for them.
Postal inspectors will figure it out.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
if you turn it in, they'll track it back.
I get all
That's
that.
a felony. I mean, $600. It's not like someone stole a $5 airplane or whatever.
Right.
$600.
I get all that.
It's a
But,
felony.
Raddick had ordered these things like 2 years ago. These planes have been missing for 2 years, and they just turned up. So he's going to buy me a tank of gas, and he's going to give Dave the $25 he spent in the auction, but he's going to get, he's going to spend $60 to get back his $600 investment, and he'll have the airplanes. And because I'm close, I don't know this Raddick guy. I don't know him. I just know his name through the combat world. But
Nobody's getting his airplanes back, but still, I mean, somebody should have to pay the price for stealing shit.
Well, it's the right thing to do. It's half a day of my time to go help this guy out and get his airplanes. So,
Well, good on you.
Yeah, that's awesome, Mike. That's hats off to you, buddy.
Yeah.
I would hope someone would do that for me if I lost $600
Yeah.
worth of airplanes.
Yeah.
I'd do it for $650.
All right, I'm going to turn my mic off and get back to sanding here.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, guys.
Yeah, it's like here at my house when I build it, people came in and stole my air conditioner, the condenser, and tore the front door off my house, stole all the insulation, all the rolled insulation that was going in. And it took like 7 years, but they finally caught the guy who did it. And a buddy of mine said that the police took, I thought he said straw, it was kicked out of a vehicle, but it was a straw out of a McDonald's cup. And they ran DNA on it. Well, then a guy was drunk driving and killed his nephew, and they took because it was a felony here, they take DNA, and so they knew who stole the stuff. Well, he blamed it on the kid who died, his nephew, but they went back, I don't know, to this farmhouse and got other people's stuff. Mine was all gone. And the police, they talked to me and said, yeah, we got the guy, whatever. And the whole time when this was, going on, it's like, well, do you have insurance? It's like, yeah, I have insurance, but that ain't why I'm pissed off. I want you to catch him.
Right.
And so they caught him and they said, well, the people where they stored it in the barn, they didn't have any idea that this was stolen goods. I said, so was this guy working any place? Well, no. I said, so he showed up with $3,000 worth of insulation, $1,000 condenser, $1,000 door, and they didn't wonder where he got it from when he wasn't working?
Yeah.
Plus all the other stuff he had in there. I said, bullshit. Well, they're helping us out and stuff like this. Well, don't you have insurance? And I said, yeah, you know what? I do have insurance, but I had a $1,000 deductible.
Right.
Who's going to pay that deductible?
Exactly.
But
Hey, Steve, I'm so sorry, buddy, but let's get back to model airplanes. Anyways, I bought some venturis from Jim Lee. I just got them today, and these are going to go in my OS Max S. I bought 2 of them, These are the Delrin ones, and these are 280.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what they are from Jim Lee, the 280s. And I haven't put them in there yet, but I'm looking forward to trying this out.
For the LA-46?
No, for the OS Max S35.
Yes.
Yeah.
They use about the same size as they do on the 46 and everything, huh?
This might be smaller. This part, the part that goes in the crankcase.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit smaller than the venturis for the LAs. I mean, the OS Max S35 is a pretty small crankcase.
Charles?
Yeah.
I don't mean to be a jerk on this, but it's actually an OS35S, not the S35. It's 35S, and it's like a 35 FP, not a FP35 or FP40. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, but the crankcase says Max S, then below it says 35.
Well, they're known.
Yeah, it does do that. It says right there.
Yeah, but that doesn't belay the fact that it's commonly called in the hobby a 35S.
I understand.
35 stunt.
I understand. I was just going by what the crankcase said.
Oh, I'm a jerk. I know it.
No, you're not. I mean, if it's commonly said that way, even though it's
Well, it is because if you get an S40, that's a Super Tiger.
Right.
Super Tiger always put their letter first, and OS always put their letters last. It's just like this.
You have to look at what it says on the box.
Is a G40.
Yep.
you have a box there, Peter?
What's that?
You have a box for your
No, I don't. That engine is way that's from the 1970s. I do not have the box for that anymore.
I do have a box for mine, but I don't want to go down and get it.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, it is known, and I just want you to. I'm just telling you this because I don't want you to feel embarrassed someday.
Right, and I'll sound like an idiot at VSC, right? Going to S35.
Yeah.
And then and then that goes all the way back to that one where that says a Max H 60.
Yeah.
So that would be 68.
Yep.
Helicopter.
It's or referred to as the OS Max Goldhead 60.
All right. Thanks, John. Yeah, I want to sound intelligent when I'm at VSC.
Now watch out.
People make assumptions on how you talk. If you don't know, if you sound like this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, it's not called an S35. It's a 35S.
But if you talk to anybody that has a LA motor, it's a LA-46, a LA-40.
Right.
But they don't. But if you look, that should be a 40 or 46 LA.
But if it's a FP, it's a 40 FP or a 35 FP.
Right, but if you look at the box, they still say 40 LA or 46 LA.
Yeah,
Say it.
the crankcase.
Yeah. 46 LA.
Yeah, but the crankcase shows LA-46.
See on that box it says 40 LA.
Yeah.
Everybody calls that an LA-46.
Boy, this is see, control line stunt is hard. I mean, we were talking about the sprinklers versus the true venturi, and you got hard point versus the wide. And then when you measure, we talk about
there you go. You put it there. On the boxes, they put it one way. On the box, they put it one way, and on the engine, they put it the other way. So
right. And OS has always done that. But what I'm saying is, we call that a LA-46, but they call it, or an LA-40, but they call it a 40 FP. But it doesn't really matter because one they call one way, one they call the other way. So
if all of this stunt language is difficult and hard, if it wasn't that way, anybody could do it.
Yeah.
I know, but you can really sound like a dunce not knowing how to say the 35.
all it is that the old guys use the FPs, so they put that last. The newer guys in the hobby use the LA, so they put that first.
All right.
You can tell if you're talking to an old guy or a new guy.
Hey, you guys, Mike wants to say something. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Bill Cole.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. So a lot of this balsa in this kit, boy, it's really light. It's good contrast, great stuff, but it's thin and pretty flimsy. Do you stiffen your elevator and your stabilizer and rudder at all? Like, do you stiffen them with CA or anything, or you just leave them?
Go to dope.
I don't know if it'd warp or not, but
Bill?
Yeah, I don't know. I just leave them. I mean,
You leave them. Okay.
yeah. I guess if it seems like it's affecting the flight, then you should try something. But you sure want light is good.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's going to affect the flight. It's just so light that I think it's delicate. You know what I mean? I think it's going to break real easy.
Nitrate dope.
you know that's why the Graupeners fly so good. I think that was just like that one that me and Samantha built that flew so good. Except the dog got it, and the stuff is so light and so fragile that it has teeth marks and just pieces broke out all over. So I threw it away. But
Bless you.
Well, I mean,
Bless
I
you.
get that, light is good, light is better, but we're dealing with Sam, the 12-year-old who hucks shit stuff as hard as he can, and he doesn't always. He's still learning the launch on the truckers, Bill. He doesn't always get it right because if you don't pick your spot, it won't go right in the wind the right way. What's it do? It rolls over and goes right in the ground.
it depends on if you want to fly too good, Mike.
Get him a discus launch.
Now, one thing at a time, John. One thing at a time, okay? Too many irons in the fire already. I seem to remember my dad when he built my truckers, like he would do the tips of the stabilizer and the rudder and the wings, like he would smear a little white glue on them, thinned out, just to kind of stiffen them up. So if you had a bad launch, maybe it wouldn't break.
Man, I don't know I don't know, Mike, about anything that's water based. Like John said, maybe some nitrate dope. I mean, you put anything water based on there, and you can work the crap out of that light bulb.
Yep.
Hey, guys, I want to interrupt real quick on the chat. Greg Nelson, he says the H was a Healy engine.
Was it what?
It was a helicopter engine.
Yeah.
The 40. And I just want to include the guys in the chat in the conversation. I want to do a better job of doing that.
I don't know about that one that Peter has there, that H motor.
That's an old. That
was before helicopter.
That's an old baffle. That's an old iron liner baffle.
Yeah, the new motors that have H's mean helicopter, but that one's so old. Unless it was a free flight helicopter, that would be way too old for. I mean, that motor had to be from the 70s, and helicopters didn't really come out till the 80s.
Yep.
Don't laugh, they had free flight helicopters.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yep.
Well, it sure did.
Then of course, to make things even more confusing, you had OS Max that came out, and this one, this one just kind of like said, hold on, if you can even see it. Okay, you see it says 45F. That's all it says on it, right?
FSR. It's an FSR.
The box.
Very good, Phil. You got that right.
Yeah, it means
45
front rotor snurl.
FSR.
It means front rotor snurl. Front intake or front rotor snurl.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Phil.
And hey, how are you? And the old H's from the 60s, there were some H series that came out along with the same time we were flying 35 S's, and you had 40 H's. And
Notice
the 40
that?
and the 40 H's were RC motors primarily, but some of the guys did try to use them stunt.
Oh yeah.
So Phil,
yes,
say
sir.
what that
The H motors were basically you could differentiate them as from the S motors. Is the H motors were primarily RC, but they also had ball bearing. They were ball bearing engines, not plain bearing.
Some of them were. I've got one downstairs that's plain bearing H40H. It's in my cadet that I used to train with, but I haven't flown that thing in 10 years.
Yeah, you know,
Phil, just
Yes, sir.
for Charles' sake, what was that 35 you flew?
The OS 35S. I flew.
We're just
We
testing.
just had a discussion about the proper name of that OS 35. Wasn't the OS S35? It's 35S.
Yeah, on the case, and on the. I've still got some of the boxes. I've got two that are still new in the box downstairs. It says OS 35S. It meant stunt.
yeah,
On
on
the case,
the
case it says 35S.
But
Really?
On the case it says Max S35.
right.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing on the LAs. That's what I was just saying. Well, why is it a 35S and not a 46 LA? Everybody says LA 46.
Oh Jesus, we're getting into potato and potato stuff now.
Yeah.
Tomato.
Hey, a comeback from Greg Nelson is that, yes, well, I've been doing this for 60 years. That's the guy that said the H was for a heli.
Well, it probably was. In the later models, I know it was, but in the 60s we had was before helis, and I've got one that dates back to 1967. That's when I bought it, and it's an RC motor, but it was not a heli.
Yeah,
They actually worked out pretty good as a stunt motor.
Definitely not a heli engine.
It worked great as a stunt motor. Yeah.
It was a heli of a motor, huh?
Well, I tell you what, there was a time. There was a time. I'm talking too loud. There was a time when if you went to a stunt contest, at least around here, if you had a 35 in your plane, you could fly it as an intermediate, a beginner intermediate. But if you had a 40 nut sucker, you were an advanced.
Hey, I got something I want to share with.
No idea how I got a Venturi for this thing.
I want to share with Phil when you guys get a break. Okay.
How about now?
All right, I'll do it now.
While you're doing that, Minnesota Mike says hi, you guys.
Hello.
Well, hello, Mike.
It's been a long time since he's been in, and appreciate you coming in, Mike. And I appreciate you, Greg. I don't think I've seen or heard of your name mentioned. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name.
Now, you said Mike just fine.
No, I'm kidding. Greg's last name is spelled Nilsson. How would you say that?
Nelson?
Nelson.
Nelson?
All right, Greg Nelson. Now, unfortunately, he can't come in and correct us, but
Let's just call him Greg.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do, Greg.
I'll tell you what, if it's the Greg Nelson of Nelson fame, he would know. Nelson Motors fame, he would know.
He said, no problem. Love the show. Well, thank you, Greg. And we have a new guy just popped in here. Top checking in from Ogden, Utah. Do you know him, John?
Ogden?
Yeah.
Ogden, Utah, yeah.
What's his name?
Well, the chat name is Top Brent.
Oh, that's Brent. Hi,
Top Brent.
No, Brent decided not to get on tonight.
Is that Brent Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Brent.
John, I got a question for you while you're doing that. It shouldn't be too much trouble to think of. The
Okay.
Pathfinder that has a tapered wing. What's that thing called?
Which one? The full body?
It's a profile with a tapered wing.
Oh, that was the Pathfinder Mark III. I never built one, but a friend of mine in California built a couple of them.
Well, I've got one I'm building, and I got the kit, and a friend of mine passed, and he wanted me to have it, so I got the kit. And
who made the kit? There was never a kit made on it.
It's not Bill Francis always cut everything out. Cut everything out, and then built from what he cut. He did like I do. I think we used to have some little get-togethers down in Charlotte at the club down there. He was president of the Charlotte club for a couple of years at least, and I always told him, when I do one, I take the plans and I cut out all the parts and I put them in a box, and I make myself a kit.
Okay,
and
that
then
makes sense.
I built from that. Then I know how to stop every time I want to build something different. I know how to stop and cut out parts. I've already got the parts cut. Makes it go. You feel like you're going a whole lot quicker. It's not, but you feel like you are.
Yeah.
So Bill did that, and he did just a fine kit. So I started working on the thing and got it about half built. I plan on putting a 46 in it, but it's probably going to end up a 51. I don't know.
That's a little overkill, but that's all right.
Well, I'll put a 46 on it then. I have a couple of those left.
Yeah.
But I'm with Steve. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is. Why everybody loved the FPs and now they love the LAs. The only difference that I can find is the weight. The FPs are a lot lighter than the LAs, but there never was an FP 46, but the FP 40 is sure a lot lighter motor than the LA 40. But on the other hand, the LA 40, they just punched it to make the 46. And the 46 is lighter, more powerful, and uses less fuel. Now, how does that compute?
Well, I think that
I'll tell you guys a secret.
Okay.
There's a FP40 out there, if you know which one it is, that actually has the liner and piston of the LA 40. It was before they changed to LA. And my buddy Dick there, he has like 3 of them. They're lighter, like you said, but it has the same run characteristics as a LA.
Does it? FPs typically had a different run characteristic.
Well, the FP had the 3 ports, well, 4 if you want to call the exhaust, but they got the 3 intake ports. They made a FP with only 2. And it's the same as the LA 40 liner.
I have seen some of those. Yeah, I think I have one.
Yeah, and that was before they changed over to the LA with the plastic back plate and all that kind of stuff. The FP, like that, comes with a metal back plate and everything is metal on it. So, but yeah, that's
interesting.
Yeah,
but yeah, it has like 3 of them, and they run really good. But the reason why he gets them is because of the metal back plates.
Yeah, the big trick around here for making a motor run good, if you got something with a plastic back plate and you've got one that runs pretty good, go buy a metal back plate and put on it. You got a real good runner. Every one of those plastic back plates leaks eventually.
Yeah.
I still got a couple of the metal ones Dick made, but a Stunthanger 40, he had a thing that the only difference is that you had to turn it down so many thousandths. Every other measurement was exactly the same as an OS. And you turn it down just a little bit, and he was buying them up from Stunthanger. Then they quit making motors, and he had an order in for 50 of them, and they finally said, we ain't going to ship them. They're not going to be made anymore.
Yeah, for our YouTube viewers, this is what we're talking about. It's the L8 engine and that's that's an aluminum or an aluminum backplate, and that's the plastic backplate that came stock with the motor.
Right.
Yeah, Randy has them. They ain't cheap, but they sure make the motor run good.
Where did you get your aluminum backplate, Peter?
Randy Smith.
Okay.
I'm having trouble with this. I switched over to Firefox from Google Chrome, and I'm having a little trouble. So bear with me while I work. I'll get this up eventually.
All righty.
He has more patience with computers than I do. I'll tell you that.
And I believe somebody Gardner in
Australia
makes an ABC piston and liner.
Brian Gardner.
For the LAs.
If you want one, order it now. You can get in touch with him through Stunthanger. Just leave him a message on Stunthanger. That's how I got him. And order them because he's getting ready to make them now. He's getting ready to make a run. Supposed to be ready sometime middle of December. I have 3 ordered.
How much is he charging for them?
I have no idea. Doesn't matter.
They weren't really expensive. I think the last time I looked, they were like $86 shipped. I can't remember now.
Something like that.
They're like $100. They're like $140 shipped.
Okay. Price went up.
A piece?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yes.
Ouch.
For what?
That's gonna hurt.
This is. So I assembled 2 motors from brand new cases from RC Japan. These have Brian Gardner internals, his piston and liner. I think it comes with a connecting rod.
Yep.
And also the head.
Mm-hmm.
They were $140 a piece.
Oh, okay. That's okay. That's for the okay.
That's gonna hurt, but I'll still take it.
The piston and liner alone, I recall, was like $86. But for the whole kit, yeah, I can see it being 140.
Right, but he machines a new head too, a Hemi head for him, and a connecting rod, and of course I just put a stock OS Venturi with a PA needle in them. But I assembled 2 brand new motors with Brian's internals, all from brand new parts from RC Japan.
Can you still get those cases? Can you still get the parts?
Yeah, no, I don't want to say because I don't want you to buy them all up.
That's too funny. Now, does RC Japan have needle valve assemblies and stuff for the OS engines?
No, they're not anymore because I bought them all, and everybody else did too, and they were like, $8 or something. I buy all my OS parts from RC Japan, especially for the 25s, because that's what we run exclusively in combat is the LA 25. So I buy pistons and liners, I buy venturis, I buy the nozzle, which we call a spray bar, but OS calls it a nozzle. And we're pretty hard on our 25s. So, I buy 10 piston and liners at a time from them. And instead of paying, they're like $35 on eBay. I think you get a piston and liner from RC Japan for about $16-17.
Wow.
And even the 40-46 liners, pistons and liners are less than $20 from RC Japan when you do the yen conversion, and the shipping's not that bad. When I make an order, the shipping costs me like $20. It's not bad. It takes 3 weeks to get your stuff, but they always come through. And just even the venturis, the stock venturis, I think Tower sold those for $12 or something like that. They're like $4 from RC Japan. So I buy 10 at a time. When I make an order, I just buy a bunch. Thrust washers and dry plates and all that, they're like $2-3 a piece. And you pay $10 for a dry plate here in the States. Crankshafts too. I bought the case, crankshaft, thrust bearing, drive washer, all this. And I mean, minus the piston and liner and the head, I got about $40 in all the parts for a complete engine.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's a dirty little secret that's out there. And, you know, they're making the LA-25 2 Mark II. You can buy a brand new LA-25 from RC Japan, but I think they're about $115.
Okay.
But they're available. They're available.
Now, Mike, you're more of a combat guy than me, but I had a combat plane that had a LA-25 on it, on a bladder, and then I put AS 25, and I like that a lot better.
Well, Charles, I'm going to correct you like John did earlier. That is actually called an ASP 25, not an ASP.
Well, out here, we call it an ASP. The combat guys out here, we call it an ASP. And we talk about each other's ass all the time.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. So the ASP 25, yes, they're great motors. And what was so awesome about them was Hobby King was selling them, and they were like, when they first came out, they were like $42 or $44 from Hobby King. They're dirt cheap, and if I'm not mistaken, so there's two different versions of the ASP. There's the ASP that they make a plain bearing version, and then they make a dual ball bearing version. There's a ball bearing version and a plain bearing version. But even the ball bearing version was only like $52. Very good motors, very desirable. A lot of guys are using them. But they stopped making them, and Hobby King stopped selling them, and you just can't get them anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, the ASP 25 is a very popular speed limit combat motor.
ASP and Magnum were the same motors.
The 21, the guys are using the ASP 21 as well. Well, yeah, that's the other thing is the ASP, I believe, was made in Taiwan, just like the Magnums were. That's the difference between the OS and the Magnums and the Thunder Tigers. Magnums and Thunder Tigers were made in Taiwan. OS motors are made in Japan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the Evolution motors, they're the same as a Magnum and a ASP. Some of them parts are actually interchangeable. I had a carburetor that I needed parts for, and you can't get nothing from Horizon anymore for the Evolution. And I went on and I just bought parts for a Magnum. They fit right in.
Oh, good to know.
The Magnum, Thunder Tiger, and OS parts, there's a lot of interchangeability there too. Okay.
Yep, there's a lot of copying.
And the Tower 40 and the GP 40. Like back plates from the 40s and 46s are all interchangeable. Back plates from the 25s, the Thunder Tiger, the Magnum, the OS, those are interchangeable. Some of the pistons and liners are interchangeable, even with the FPs in the LAs. Like a Tower 40 backplate will fit an FP 40. It'll fit an LA 40 or 46. The Thunder Tiger 25 and the GP 25 fit the LA 25 and the FP 25. The FP 25 backplate fits an LA 25. There's a lot of, because they're all the same specs. They're identical. That's why I'm such a dumpster diver at RC swap meets. I look for clapped out motors that these guys want, $2, $3, or $5 for, just so I can get the backplate off.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's a roached motor with no head on it, and the case is broken, but there's a backplate. How much you want? Oh, $3. Yeah, I'll buy it for $3 for the backplate.
Yeah. Right.
Did you say that place is rcpartsjapan.com? Is that all you're going to put in?
No, Phil, you're not allowed to buy stuff from them.
Okay.
Oh, I actually have a comment from Greg Nielsen. He says that, Greg Biswick. He says that Brian does not have any LA-46 piston and liners sets left.
They're all spoken for?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I have 3 coming.
And then Greg Nelson says he flew a Voodoo with a McCoy Redhead 35S on bladder tanks.
I did too, and about screwed me to the ground.
Phil, it's RC Japan.
RC Japan. Okay.
You have to create an account before you'll be able to see pricing. And then the way it works is you make an order and submit it, and they will email you back a day or two later, tell you if they have everything in stock and what the shipping is. And then they'll do a yen to US dollar conversion, and PayPal is just the easiest way to do it because it just automatically does it.
But yeah, they're a really good place. They even looked. I got an old SF pumper motor for pattern, and
if you need an obscure OS motor part, RC Japan has it.
If they don't,
you need a screw for some 30-year-old OS motor, they got it.
Sounds good. I have some of those. I resemble that remark.
I asked them about a part if one would work, and they got back to me a couple days later and said that it would not work, and the part that I wanted they didn't have and the factory didn't have anymore. So it's a 86 something or other carburetor, but the there's a problem with the mid range on it. It's a little brass piece that you adjust, and it's not
an OS. It's an OS carburetor. Before you give up on OS carburetors, tell me what you need exactly, because I have about 30 OS carburetors downstairs. I was not the most astute RC pilot.
All right.
I destroyed a lot of motors learning to fly RC.
Can you see this carburetor?
Make it big here.
Yeah, that's on an FSR.
If it's the pumper one, that little screw adjusts the mid range.
Look.
It turns that thing in the center. But I need that for a 60. This is a 40. If you've seen the carburetor on a 60, how big it is. But it was
a dog through it.
It's the same thing as on the Hanno-Pretner one. And
I have one of those downstairs.
It was only made for the pump motor.
Yeah.
Okay, who's messing with this, doing that?
Oh, geez.
I don't know, but you're making me dizzy.
So somebody's got the camera turned to the camera.
I'm going to throw up in a second.
I'm going to have to quit.
They've got the camera turned off, so I don't know how the heck
How's
they're
that
doing
going?
that.
Did the plane come up now?
No, you went to infinity.
You look like an offender.
John, you're doing that.
There it
We
is.
have to give up on that.
No, there it is, John. The plane's there now.
Oh, I've got a blank page. I've got a black page.
That's what I got too.
There's a blue and a navy blue or sky blue Pathfinder.
No, I can't
That's
see it.
pretty.
I can't see it.
That's Jim Tickey. That's Jim Tickey's first one.
Hey, Phil,
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at that RC Japan right now. And
How about now?
they've got a Venturi for a LA 40 to 46 for 595 yen, which turns out to be $5.69.
Yeah, I'll get on there tomorrow and look at that. That's pretty neat. Every once in a while, these old combat pilots come up with some stuff you can really use. I think we're going to
let me tell you,
keep him around.
That's some top secret stuff for about 3 years, man, that we don't share with a lot of people.
Yeah, I see it too.
Yeah, that's pretty. I
That's
got it now.
That's
You see
fantastic
it?
looking.
Yes, sir. That is pretty.
That-
Well, it disappeared. That was pretty. Red, white, and blue. I like that.
That's Jim Tickey's.
See if you can
That's
bring it
Jim
up again.
Tickey's. It's actually very light blue, baby Robin. It
See
should
if you
still
bring it
be
up
up.
again, I'll get a screenshot of it.
Anyway, that's Jim Tickey's. All right.
So is that
Let's
in LA
see here.
or is that or what?
There
what
we
is that?
go.
No, I got a black screen.
That's Pathfinder LE.
I'm seeing it fine. I don't know.
There it is. I got it. That's sharp.
Okay.
Very
Jim
pretty.
Take a
Ticky.
screenshot.
Jim Ticky
You got
did
it?
some beautiful stuff.
That's Jim Ticky's.
What motor do you have in it?
Now he built a second one, but he never got to fly it. He had a piped engine in it. I think it was a 51 or a 61, one of the two. But he built another one. He never got to fly it before he died, and that's in Gordon has it now. It's in the it's in his house. It was green and a light green. But anyway, that's the only other one that I know of that was actually finished. And Jim built that before it was ever published.
Well,
Yeah.
I got one on the way because I started cutting
Okay,
wood.
that's enough.
I got to figure
All
out how to
right.
get some of this stuff finished. But I finished 2 airplanes this week, guys. I'm right proud of myself.
Oh, you should. That's great. You did it in a week?
In the past week, the past 8 days anyway. I finished 2. One was an ARF. But for me to finish something is, my wife and I both were beginning to think that I had something against being able to say it's finished, but it's finally finished. Now it does not have the letters on the wings yet, the AMA numbers and all that on it, but I have flown it. So, and it does fly nice. I have to say that little electric Vector flies very nice. But I finished that, and I finished a Firecat. So that's 2 I crossed off the list. Now I got to get a couple others finished. I'm working on a Humbug, and that thing's driving me crazy, but I'm going to get it.
When's the King Sweep going to get done?
Well, I don't know. That one's down the list a little bit. There's 9 planes ahead of it. Well, 7 now. King Sweep's coming up. I did get a canopy for it. I went to the hobby shop, and he said I got 1, and he showed me what he had, and by George, it'll fit. So I'm going to use it. So we got that coming, and I built that.
What was that for?
King Sweep. It's a tapered wing airplane, tapered wing stunner, really tapered, and it's going to be interesting.
John, you saw that. I had it here in the shop. It was Mac Henry's airplane that he was building before he died, and I gave it to Phil to finish.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish
I
that
remember
one up and fly it.
Yeah.
Okay, I've always wanted a tapered wing airplane to see what it would do. One of the guys here has one that the taper goes forward. You'd be amazed how well it flies. Yeah, it's a Russian or Czechoslovakian, I can't remember which. Guy in Raleigh has it. Used to be in Florida. In fact, he used to help put on the King Orange. Him and his brother used to put on the King Orange. I can't think of his name, but anyway.
The Smith brothers?
No, not Smiths.
No.
This is before the Smiths. I had not heard of the Smith brothers when these guys were doing King Orange. But
hey,
anyway.
I want to squeeze something in while we were talking about parts for OS engines in RC Japan. I'll share my other top secret source.
Okay.
I've got all I need now. Everybody always seems to be looking for the stock OS needle valve, right?
Yeah.
The stock OS needle valve that goes through the Venturi, which they quit making a few years ago. And when I found out they quit making them, I stocked up from my supplier, which a lot of you guys probably know, but just maybe forgot and don't know. Leonard Newman, who ran the Stuka Stunt website.
Yes.
He's got 100 of them. Well, he had 100 of them.
Now he's got 2.
No. I bought 10. I bought 10. I mean, I know. I think you can still get them on eBay, but I think they're like $22 now or something. But Leonard sells them for like $11 or $12, and he had a big stockpile of them. I bought 10, and then I turned a couple of friends onto them, and they bought a few. And I don't know how you get a hold of Leonard now that the site is down because I've lost all his contact information. But if anybody needs just the stock OS, the silver needle valve with the spray bar, Leonard Newman so that's Matt Newman's dad, right? Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Leonard has them, and he's pretty cool, man. You just call him, and he'll mail them to you. And when they show up, you mail him a check. You know, he doesn't take credit cards or anything like that. It's all on the honor system. But Leonard has those. So
Okay.
and he's not gouging on them. He's not charging $20 a piece for them because they're not available anymore. So you can still get them for, like I said, I think they're 11 or 12 bucks, something like that.
I hate his sites now. And there were some things about that site I like better. I kept checking on both of them, and it was always a neat thing. I ran into some neat articles on that site.
You guys, on the chat box, we have a comment from Brent Williams. He says that Jim Titsy's Pathfinder LE had a PA40 ultralight.
Oh, okay.
I haven't had one of those.
It flew well.
I'm probably going to put a standard 40 in it, 40 with a pipe, because I just happen to have a couple of OS 40 VFs downstairs that are brand new. One's a Randy, and I think I got 3 or 4 of them. But
of course you do.
Well, when this stuff was available, I heard that it was selling out and it was hard to get. I started looking for it because I was going to fly pipes, and I flew pipes for a few years, but things the last few years have led me to believe that I need to go a little lower tech and just have some fun instead of fighting tune pipes and all this other stuff. I'm just having some fun. I went back to an ARF Nobler with a LA 40 in it and had more darn fun for 2 years than I can tell you. But only thing I can tell you about that, and that rascal right there knows about it firsthand. If you have a prop strike on takeoff, call the flight. Cost me a good airplane. I pulled up and I didn't have it after that. That was it. I pulled up and I said, oops. Yes, sir.
That tapered wing Pathfinder. Let me know how it comes out. The friend of mine that built 2 of them, he actually built them with strip ribbed I-beamer. Yeah, he built them as I-beamer.
Oh, yeah. Well, I built this one. This one, the ribs are already cut, so I just did it the way they did it. But I was going to build it as a Millennium wing. That was my intention, but the wings are already cut, so the ribs are already cut, so I just put it on rods. But I tell you what, that's the trick. You put all them ribs on the rods, and then you try to put that spar through there and get that thing turned at all those ribs, 28 ribs. That's a pain.
Yeah. Well, that was that particular plane was never published. I never built one. Gordon never built one. Nobody up here built one.
I'll let you know how it goes. I didn't. Yeah. I never finished the straight wing one. I'm building it as a twin. Now I'm kind of wanting to get in touch with Dennis because there was a picture on here Dennis had on here last week, a week before, somewhere I saw it anyway.
That was
Dennis is playing with twin electrics. That was yours?
Yep. Yeah, that was me. Put the picture up. That was Dennis's airplane.
Okay. I'd like to know what motors and all, battery and everything he used in that thing, and where he mounted the battery to get it to balance, and how long his nacelles were, and all that. You know, what his moments were, so I could get mine to work. Because if Dennis did, it's bound to work. But I like the fact he had a standard single engine in the background, painted just like it. But
he built one of each.
That's just a neat airplane. I saw that in the flying models, and knew I got to have one of those one of these days. It's just a neat looking plane.
Gordon's red one, he let a lot of people, top pilots, fly it. And You might have heard Bob Hunt say that was a fine little airplane. You know, a lot of them are comparing their airplanes now to that particular airplane.
The thing I liked about y'all's articles, y'all told the secrets that nobody else wanted to tell. Like the outboard itself needs to be canted 6 degrees or something.
No,
Something
it
like
wasn't
that.
6, it was 3.
Something 3. I knew it was something I couldn't remember. That's the reason
It's
I
just
take
a little
notes.
bit out so that if you do get the situation where the inboard quits first,
Yeah.
it gives you, it saves you. But you're going to build it electric, right?
Oh, yes.
That's the best way to go.
Well, see, I take notes of everything because I have CRS and I admit it. I can't remember nothing. So I refer to my notes.
I can't remember where I put my notes.
Well, I can't help you there. But
So
usually if I write it down and sit and look at it, you'll see me write something down and then look at it 2 or 3 times. I'll remember it. But if I just hear it, it's in one ear and out the other and gone. Forgotten.
Yeah.
Very visual.
Basically, that wing on the tapered wing version was the wing that came off of the full body, the first full body Pathfinder 40.
Well, I know one thing. It's interesting. That thing is. I looked at that thing and I thought, wow, he made a. The tail's built different than I ever built one. It's built with a 1/16 crutch. That's the size and shape of the tail, and then ribs put on this side, and a leading edge put on this side, and a spar or hinge plate, whatever, trailing edge put on this side, and then flipped over and done again.
Yeah, be sure put lightning holes in there because otherwise it can get heavy. And use like white glue or something like that.
This one's all built with white glue, and it's got carbon in it, and it's very light. I picked it up and thought, wow, I can't believe I built that.
Yeah,
it's nice.
That little tail construction thing, that was my contribution.
Well, you did well. I like it. That worked very well.
Have you built an electric vector yet?
Yes, sir.
So you link it in, or
2-minute flights. I haven't got it back out there yet. I went from I was going to ask you, what propeller you fly on yours? You fly an 11-inch or 12-inch?
11, I think.
He done turned his back on you.
I dropped it back to an 11. I flew it the first 4 flights. I flew 2-minute flights with a 12-inch prop and 12 EP, and I came home and cut it down to an 11 because that's just too much strength. That motor's getting hot and it don't need to get hot.
What you do? Extend the landing gear? I mean, how can you get a 12-inch prop on a Vector?
I didn't have any problem.
Mm.
I didn't have any problem. Well, now I do have 2.5-inch.
Ah,
got whatever.
There you go.
I've got 2 1/4, 2.5-inch wheels on it. Whatever came with it. It came with like 2 1/4s or 2.5s. And they were fine, except they were so wide they wouldn't fit in the wheel pants without dragging. So I put those like Steve's got on his. I don't know what kind they are, MCI or MPX or MX.
Yeah, that's on the element. That's the standard wheels. But there's that spinner I was telling you about.
Yeah, that's it. I have one of those. I'm gonna put some some air grabber holes in. How did you get the thing for left-handed? They made it like that.
Yeah, that's what I told you. They make them either way.
Well, I'm gonna go order one of those then. That's nice.
Now on the Vector, you don't need you don't have to put no holes in that. See the scoop?
Yeah, I did mine a little different. Mine has a scoop on it that looks like, if you look at the front of a real airplane, you have a carburetor intake. And I made mine look like
the ARF.
Do what?
I thought it was almost ready to fly or cover.
It's just like that. It's just like that. Mine looked like that, and I just didn't like that. So
you plugged it up?
Yeah, I'll have to bring my plane up Friday and show you. Mine has a bigger air opening in the front than yours does because my ESC had to go through it, and I couldn't get it through that hole. So I rounded it out on the sides, and in the the carburetor hole or the air hole for the motor, I made that a little bit different because I made a scoop out of it. But I put a piece of paper up in it to see if it would blow it out, and that piece of paper came out of the thing before it went half a lap. So if you ever wonder if a scoop is working or not, put a little piece of flash paper or something real light, toilet paper, tissue paper, whatever, in it, and then see if it blows out. Well, it did.
Clean toilet paper, though.
Well, yeah, use the clean stuff. Yeah, go ahead. Don't be so cheap, Steve. Use the clean stuff.
You don't want to recycle it?
No recycling.
Recycle stuff stinks.
I tell you what, though, that little scoop that Dennis came up with there, it will keep a motor so cool. And
that's good.
You know, I bought the fancy propeller with the holes in it and all that kind of stuff. It don't work nothing like that little scoop does.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's a high pressure zone, so that makes sense. The air's got to go somewhere.
I have an answer for you, Phil. I think you had a question about the electric motors.
Yeah.
Brent says that Denny Adamison is running 2 Aero-Wine 2810 motors. Both of his Pathfinders, the twin and the regular, are ARF-based.
Wow, 2810 Airlines. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, thank Brett.
Yeah, thank you, Brett. Appreciate that. I happen to have one of those. I have another one, but I have a second one, but it met with the ground unceremoniously and broke the shaft, and you can't get the shafts to them anymore. I'm gonna try to make one, but
yeah, one of these days I have to get back working on that Pathfinder twin I got.
You dog. I made mine from a. I have a article from Flying Models, and I had to make it up from that. But I took a regular kit and converted it to a twin. I'm converting it to a twin.
That'll work because the twin is based on the kit or the ARF. I mean, the same way, all of that. You just
That's neat.
have to change it's the same airplane with 2 engines.
I bought the fuselage done. I haven't started working on the wing yet, but I kind of where I'm at on the fuselage, so I'm making mine electric.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
With retracts and everything like that.
What retracts are you using?
I don't know yet, and I was talking to Bob Hunt, and he folds his forward.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. No, not on that airplane. I'm not. I figured it out, and you had to go backwards because there's no room to go forwards.
That's what I'm gonna go backwards and put. Back in the day when we flew pattern, we'd make little pockets so that you'd have like half a wheel sticking out back there. Everything would go flush into the wing.
Yeah,
except part of the wheel.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm going to do with that one.
Instead of putting rotating retracts on it, just put pockets back there for them to slide into. That's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah,
and mount the things mount them on the side of the nacelles. And then
but I told myself I'm not working on any more airplanes until I finish that 6, 7, 8. I found another one. I'm like, son of a bitch. I forget I have all these damn airplanes.
You and I are in the same club, and I found one I really want to build, and I just can't. I'm not going to have time to get to it till probably June. But it's okay. It gives me something to look forward to. But I tell you what, 2 weeks in the last week in the shop feels like 2 weeks, just 1 week. I've actually got something done. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, I
finally accomplished something again.
It does feel good.
Yeah, I tried to, and I don't know how to do it. I got pictures of how I had my bench set up to do the fuselages and stuff, but I tried twice now to send it from, like Peter said, to send it from my photos to my email.
Yep.
But it won't. Maybe the thing is too big and it's not coming through, so I could.
Email. You can't. If it's too big, it's not going to go via email. That's for sure.
what I did on mine is take a board that's 6 inches wide or 8 inches wide, and I put an upright on it that just has a V in it. The fuselage fits down in there. And do that in the front and the back. And then the trick is to put shims in it you'd have to have a straight line in the center of your fuselage that's on your thrust line. And you just have to have a ruler or something in the front and one in the back and adjust it up and down until you get that thing dead level. And then fix everything right there where it don't move. I just use tape and made it where it doesn't move then, and put little marks on it where you know, okay, the fuselage slid forward, fuselage slid back, it's where it's supposed to be, everything's still dead level. Then when I start putting the stab in, I put bubble levels on that to make sure everything is level and stays level. And then it's a lot of fun. Tommy and one of the guys came over and thought it was real fun. We were having a pack of nabs, and I always have nabs or something, and drinks for the guys when they come over. Somebody, I'm sure it wasn't Tommy, because anyway, wadded up some paper or something and stuck it under my table and thought it'd be real fun. Stuck it under the board and thought it would be funny. Everything, that drove me crazy for about 5 minutes. I said, wait a minute, this was right yesterday. The guys were here, and Elwin is a practical joker. Okay. I raised it up, and there it was. So I put that out of the way, set it back down, it was level. I was ready to hurt him.
Well, it's not drywall. It's something like drywall, and it has like a blue paper on it that's super tough. And
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called.
It goes in there hard.
Probably a firewall.
And what I did was I bought that, and then I squared it. It sets on the table. And I bought a big T-square like they use for drywall.
Yeah. And
then I put a line on it. And then back, I don't know, I figured so far back, about where wings are. I 90'd with another line across that way. And I figured that's just for wings, because I figured out I just put my plan down and then put some wax paper over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got some L-channel aluminum, and I cut it in pieces about that big, and then drill the 2 holes in the part that I put down flat. So I'll line that up with the plan and pin it in place. And then I can build the fuselage right on top of the plan. And it holds everything square and stuff. Then I glue it. And then when I go to put the wing in, take the plans off. Well, now I have that line. I find center line on the fuselage, and then put them the L brackets back in place. And then I set it up to where the back of the wing is on my 90 going across, and I can put L brackets, put an L bracket there, keep everything square. Then I got little pieces that I made up out of wood that I can adjust and hold the wing where I want it. Yeah. Front and back. I put them up front, put them in the back, everything's square, and then I'll glue everything in that way. But it's pretty simple, for a building. But I wanted to show pictures, but I can't show no pictures of it.
Well, I don't know how to either.
It works real good, and it's a cheap way to do it. I heard people doing it on glass, and I guess you could actually do it on glass and glue them pieces in place.
Yeah, but then you got to clean it up when you get done.
Yeah.
I do that, but it makes for a mess.
But it seems to be flat. I took a big sanding block, went over the whole piece of drywall, and it scuffs everything. So it's like, well, I guess it has to be flat. There's no divots or low spots, and I went with different angles and stuff, and it seems to be fine. So, but I haven't had a problem with You know, stuff not being flat or square or whatever. Oh, what's happening with everybody?
What do you mean?
There's ghost pictures coming up, and everybody's pictures going out.
Really?
Oh,
Screwing around.
On your end.
we're trying to haunt your blood.
That blue drywall you're talking about is called plaster base.
There you go.
Oh, is it
There you
plaster
go.
base?
Yeah, it figures he would know. He worked with that stuff.
Yeah, somebody's putting them up on everybody's pictures. On mine, anyway.
You had to be a tough rascal working with that stuff. I'm telling you, sanding that crap about tore me up. I never itched so bad in my life.
Nobody's pictures disappeared but mine.
Nope. I'm still here. Everybody's still here.
Remember that one game, Pac-Man, that wacka wacka wacka? You know the little
Yeah.
ghost?
You've
Yeah.
been hacked.
Everybody's picture got a ghost on it. Their picture
Really?
disappeared and a white ghost showed up.
Yeah, I've seen
That's
those
weird.
ghosts before. I saw them last week, Steve. So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
And
now
that-
you guys are all back. Like one at a time, pictures would go out and a ghost would come up on there.
Yeah, I saw it last week.
That's odd.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been fun. I'm gonna have to head out. I'll see y'all Friday.
Hey, thanks.
Okay, Ed.
Thank you
Take
for
care
coming.
of yourself, Ed.
It's been fun, but it
I
hasn't
got
been.
I got a few more minutes to stick around, and I'm gonna have to go too. But
Yeah, I'm
I'll
going
tell
to
you
end
what.
the show at in a few minutes because it's got up on 9 o'clock or midnight for other people.
yeah, it's almost midnight here.
But we've had a really good turnout. I'm really happy with the chat. We had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on the chat. So it's an improvement. The last couple of
Yeah.
weeks it's been really dead over there. So thanks for coming in, you guys, on the chat. It's been a really good program. In review, we talked about true venturis and spigot venturis, and I've been corrected on how to say the OS Max 35S. And
Don't mess up like that again, Charles.
it's still confusing on the LA-46. That's still confusing to me.
Yeah, it is.
And then I'm not going to say them, but Mike Lonkey shared some of his resources to get some OS parts.
Don't go
Super
there.
secret.
But it's been a good show. I'm really excited about the turnout. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm going to just end the stream, and we can continue on if you guys like. And don't forget everybody out there to like and share, and don't forget hit the notification sign so you get notified when we're going to go on, whether it's Sparky or myself. And don't forget about the memberships. They're only $4.99 a month. That's less than 17 cents a day. And with that, you get special badges and members-only videos. And once a month he has a question answer period with this Sparky. So that's a great option. He just had one last weekend, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So all that is all available for members only. And with that saying, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream.